This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Opinions expressed are those of the show host, not WPSL or WSTU or EXP Realty. Any reproduction or use of this program without the written consent of WPSL and WSTU is strictly prohibited. Now it's time for My Dream Home Radio Show, your chance to find your dream home. And now here's Eileen Simons and Paula Brady.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Good. How are you?
Doing okay.
So I want to make sure that everybody understands this is a call-in show. We welcome calls. If you have questions about real estate, you can certainly call us at 772-340-1590.
Good morning, everybody. We're kind of changing things around here a little bit this morning. Eileen's busy right now with a call, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few listings that are available in the area and see if anybody's interested. Give us a call. We'd love to be able to get you in to see some of these homes. The first one is a very lovely large home in the Lake Worth area. I know that's a little further south than what we talk about most of the time, but this looked really pretty and interesting to me, so I thought we'd talk about it this morning. It's a 5-bedroom, 4-bath, waterfront property. The living square feet is 5,131.
Nice big house.
Yeah, very nice. Fairly large price too, but you have 1.5 acre gated estate. So it sounds like a really nice home. It was actually featured on HGTV, so as a designer remodel. So.
And what's the price on this beautiful 1.5 acre, 5-bedroom home?
$2,490,000. So it's a good size price, but it's a good size home. So if you're interested in something like that, let us know. We'd love to be able to get you in to look at it. So do I want me to continue, or are we going to go with?
No, we can do this later.
Okay.
We needed to make sure that our guest was going to be able to log in, because we'll get him started in a few minutes. But of course, we always like to go through some statistics early on in the show. So I'm going to do that today. But before we get that started, I want to remind everybody that realtors since 1964, long before we were in the business, have been required to follow the requirements of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which talks about discrimination and no discrimination.
Yeah, not
So as
discriminate.
realtors, we are required to follow this under our code of ethics. We're also required to follow this under our federal laws and state laws. No discrimination in real estate.
Well, I would hope so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's been a lot of things printed about it lately, and I want to make sure that everybody understands that there is no discrimination in real estate. You can live wherever you choose to live if you can afford to live there.
Exactly.
Well, that's then you get into a whole different can of worms. You know?
Well, I mean, we don't control how much people decide to pay for a property.
Right. Correct.
That depends on their finances. If they have cash or on a kind of mortgage they can qualify for. But in general terms, there is no discrimination in real estate. People can live in any neighborhood they choose to live in.
You know, and I know that years ago, the insurance industries, when Carol and I were still working TV news in LA, and Of course, they went through the whole redlining scandals of the insurance industry,
Yeah.
where certain areas of LA were for the same home, were $3 or $4 or $5, $10,000 more a year, Yeah. Yeah. And
Right.
Anyway.
And there are, just to let everybody know, because maybe you don't know this side of it, but there are employees of organizations who go out and make sure that there is no discrimination. And if they find what they consider to be signs of it, then there are suits that are filed and there are papers that are filed with the government, and the government investigates those.
You bet. Sure. And rightfully so.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
bet.
Yes.
Lose your license, that kind of thing. And you've put a lot
I
of
hope
effort
so.
into that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's totally unscrupulous.
Yeah.
Mhm. Just to put it out there, I'm going to remind everybody on a regular basis, no discrimination in real estate, and commissions are always negotiable. They are not set by anybody. And that's a law. They have to be negotiable. You can, if you are a seller and you're going to list your property with a real estate agent, that commission is negotiable. If you are a buyer and you're going to hire a real estate company as your buyer's agent, that commission is negotiable. So commissions are always negotiable.
Okay. Good stuff. All right.
Okay, so stats. Greg's favorite.
Yep.
I have a little article here that I think is, what did I do with it? I put it in 12 different places. Okay. This is as of Friday, 32.8% growth in home prices in car dependent areas in the past 18 months
Gee, what a surprise.
versus 15.6% in transit accessible areas.
Which this is not.
No, not really.
This is a car area.
Yes, this is a car area.
Yeah.
So again, 32.8% growth in home prices in car dependent areas in the excuse me, in the past 18 months versus 15.6% increase in transit accessible areas.
Well, I wonder how much of that is pandemic too, because a lot of people may be escaping the big cities.
Well, that's the problem with statistics.
Yeah,
They
well, I
never
know,
give you
yeah.
the whole picture. you know?
Yeah, I get it.
You're
Yeah,
just getting the numbers.
yeah, that's it.
Something we will discuss again during the show. I thought this was another relevant piece of information. And the question on this article from Florida Realtors is, where can buyers find a Florida home for around $250,000? So I checked in our MLS yesterday, and our MLS covers a very large area of the east side of Florida. There are 151 single-family homes in Beach's MLS that are priced between $240,000 and $260,000.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and that
Okay.
covers a huge area. That covers parts of 5 counties on the east side of Florida. So there are properties available in the 250 range.
Basically, Broward, North to Vero.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I get it. Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Okay, good. So we're ready for our guest.
I want that house on the beach.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Just remember, if you have a house on the beach, then you might get, when storms are imminent, you might have to be evacuated. Where if you live further inland, you
Boy,
might not have to be evacuated.
I remember those days of the placards during the hurricanes and people can't get back to their properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Or when they got back to their condos on the beach, the entire garage was full of sand. Oh yeah. I
Yippers.
remember those days.
I mean,
Wow.
it is beautiful, but You
There are
know,
pros
just
Yeah,
think
it is.
there's always two sides to every story.
Right. Pros and
Wow.
cons to every area.
Yeah, no kidding. No
Right.
kidding. All right.
So we had Philip a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately we had technical difficulties. So that's why we wanted to bring him back today, because we think that his messages are very important to everyone out there. And so Phil Keck with Palm City Insured is with us today. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us again.
You need
Yes,
to
thank you
turn
so
your
much.
mic up, Philip.
Really?
Oh, well, no, I can't hear him because I don't have my headset on.
We're having a rough Monday.
Oh, it's a Monday.
Yes.
You can tell it's a Monday. Is this
Oh
Friday?
my gosh.
Is this Monday the 13th or something?
Yeah.
Close to it.
I think so.
Close for comfort.
Well, thank you guys again for having me back on. Absolutely. Just a wonderful way to start off the week and spend some time with you guys, you know, discussing the real estate and insurance markets here in Florida. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks again, Philip. We really appreciate your time today. I know how busy your schedule is, but I thought, especially since we are still early in July, it was important to bring you back on so that you can discuss the changes in the new law that took effect on July 1st.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a wonderful piece of legislation that did just go through the Florida legislature, and was signed by Governor DeSantis. And this law is really an effort to protect the Florida homeowner consumer specifically. So one of the biggest pieces that we have seen that's driving homeowners rates here in the state of Florida, unfortunately, is we have a lot of claim activity and we have a lot of fraud and some of these types of things that are taking place. And they are surrounding some of the storm related type claims. And so one of the pieces that they've done that is really huge here is they have limited the ability for any claimant to claim on a hurricane claim. So the previous period used to be about 3 years. So let's say, you know, we'll use Hurricane Irma was a good example. We actually saw last year in 2020 an onslaught of Irma claims that came in very late in the year from a lot of carriers. So a lot of folks made additional claims at the end of that third year for roof damage, for damage to properties and things like that. And what this bill has done is it's actually taken this period now from 3 years and they've shrunk it down to 2 years. And why this is important is we as agents and realtors and professionals in the industry really believe that if you haven't found any damage to a property within about the first couple years, there's a very good chance that the damage that we're looking at in that claim in that third year wasn't from a hurricane. And so
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, but unfortunately, the law and the loophole was that you could come in and claim hurricane damage for damage to a property all the way up to that third year. And so what that inevitably was causing is we were seeing a big influx of claims for roof damage, for these types of damages at the end of these periods, which was really causing a lot of problems with the carriers and really starting to continue to drive the homeowners rates up. And that's really the big thing that we're seeing is anytime we have a lot of claims activity, you know, insurance is a shared pool of coverage. So we all kind of share in these coverages. Anytime we all have a collective shared group of losses or a lot of claims, that negatively impacts kind of all of us as homeowners.
Sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that.
Oh, absolutely.
They think that the insurance company is out there with their own money that they take care of these repairs on. What they don't realize is that money from the insurance company really is the money that each insured has paid into that pool.
That's exactly right. So we're all kind of paying into that collective pool so that, you know, in the event that we have any type of major claims, that the insurer will stand behind us and pay those claims to all of us, you know, specifically with, you know, a relation to a hurricane. So one of the big things that we're seeing, of course, is the claims activity, but also too, one of the big pieces that we see that is negatively impacting as well is there's some lawyer groups and there's some groups that have kind of teamed up in the middle of the state. And with these claims, one of the other pieces this legislation is really trying to address is these attorneys' fees. So if we make it no longer lucrative for these attorney groups and these specific groups to kind of come in and attack our homeowners marketplace and our consumers, then that allows us to stop this claims activity, stop some of these pieces that are really driving the rates. So that was the other really great piece that we saw as part of this legislation, was another, great piece of consumer protection in an effort to really, make sure that we as the Florida homeowners and consumers, and as agents and realtors, of course, too, we're really, protected in this situation as well.
So it limits the amount that they can get on a claim. Is that it?
It does. It limits the amount so that the attorneys can charge for fees. And really, that's the big thing. If it's not lucrative for the attorneys, we as an industry believe that we can then stop these guys to place these claims. Absolutely.
Okay. So it's kind of like, and I'm going to use this as an example because it's what I understand. The state sets maximum amounts that title companies can charge for certain services. So they're doing the same thing now with these attorneys that handle these claims. They are putting a maximum amount that they can charge for those.
That's exactly right. And so what will inevitably happen is, part of these claims, there is an improvement to property. So these aren't just, attorneys getting money for fees. They are getting, new roofs for clients, repairs done for clients. So this is kind of built into the package. So what that will inevitably do is you're exactly right, by limiting the amount that they can charge in terms of the fees, it will cut into the amount that they're going to be able to be paid out on those, because some of that has to go to the consumer who is placing that lawsuit to make their property be, made whole again as well.
Right. And who ultimately paid for the policy in the first place.
Exactly. So really, these are some phenomenal tools that are taking place to try to right the ship, in terms of getting the right type of protections. And I think this is really a phenomenal step in the right direction. There's still much that can be done, both, on the legislative front, but also to some of the carrier front as well. And we are seeing a really great effort in terms of our homeowners carriers to really make an effort to bring the premiums down, to make adjustments within the policies, to give consumers the option to limit some of the coverages that they want to carry, some of the deductible options. So the carriers really are coming in and stepping up as well, and trying to help with this kind of current market situation. And I think this legislation in the backdrop will kind of help the carriers level off as well. Okay. Because they really want to write policies here in Florida. We have carriers that want to do business here, and I feel like,
especially as our population grows and we have more front doors.
Absolutely. Well, we have one of the largest growing populaces in the country right now. We have over 10,000 baby boomers retiring every day. And I think the pandemic certainly accelerated that a lot. So we saw people come out of their jobs maybe a few years early. And so you're exactly right. We have a huge influx of wonderful folks joining us from all over the East Coast, the West Coast, California, really all over the country. So we're so blessed in that we have such a phenomenally strong marketplace here in Florida for both, agents like ourselves, realtors like yourself, and folks like that as well.
Yes, I agree. Yes. Makes traffic issues a little difficult during season, but we'll work our way through that too.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna make them all go through driving school again. That's what we need to do. Anyway,
There should be a I was thinking about that this weekend because I watched somebody pass through traffic
In and
7
out.
times
yeah.
going across a bridge this weekend. And it was like, really, person, you really have to do this? You know, there should be something, an inhibitor or limiter or something on our cars, like we can put on, air conditionings to limit the speed or limit the number of times you can switch lanes.
That's it, a governor or a
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
That's what it's
governor.
called. Governor.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, maybe if we all
Mhm.
drive, the car will drive itself. It won't feel the need to do that. It's just the person behind the wheel that feels the need to do that, I think.
By the way,
Yes.
have you been to Tradition to
No.
see the new driverless vans?
No.
No,
Yeah,
have not
Yes.
seen those yet. Been
Those
to Tradition,
are
but I have not
so-
seen those yet.
they are so cool. And this one young guy who works for the company was showing Carol and I this the other night, and,
Uh-huh.
and you know, we didn't go on it, but
quite brave
it's
enough.
absolutely fascinating when you look at. They have a map that you can see on the side, and it will detect everything.
Yeah.
It will, but it also detects the false signs of stuff, and it's amazing. I'm just thinking, okay, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well, the cars will park themselves now if you let them, that kind of thing
yeah,
too. So,
yeah. Well,
and
Yeah, and actually, that's like probably old technology by now.
Yeah.
oh, I'm sure it
exactly,
is.
yeah.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. Well, it was funny at the broadcasters convention. They mentioned about how things are going to the new Ford come 2032 is going to be. He said some will come with 18-inch television screens. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, you got to be kidding me. And
18-inch television screen.
yeah,
Well, you couldn't see in that direction inside your car if you wanted to
Well,
then with an
that's-
18-inch
well,
television screen.
well, that's the whole concept.
Might be dangerous.
The
Yeah.
car will be driving itself.
driving itself, it won't need the person behind
Yeah,
the wheel.
well, and
Yeah.
that's the whole gist
Yeah.
of everything. It's like, oh my goodness,
Jetsons, here we come.
that's it. Yeah, I want my little
We're a
car
few years
car
behind,
plane.
but we're headed there.
So I know we jumped right into the subject matter, Philip, but let's back up a little bit and we want to learn about you and your company.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're Palm City Insured is a full service property and casualty insurance agency, not only serving the Treasure Coast here, but what's unique about our agency is we actually do serve the entire state of Florida. So before we started this agency, we worked as a financial advisory group down here, servicing Florida retirement system participants for many years. So if you were a public employee or a public pension worker, we kind of did a lot of the retirement pieces. And after post work, planning for them, and got into the property and casualty business in 2015 with a couple independent groups here in Florida, and decided this last year that we really wanted to start our own agency to be able to serve our clients. We still are very, very involved with serving the public community. So public pension employees, both practicing and still working for the state, as well as our FRS and Florida retirement system participants who have retired as well. So we do a ton of work with them, both in property and casualty. So helping our retired folks stay retired by keeping their costs down on things like homeowners, auto insurance, life insurance is a big piece, and then some of the healthcare pieces. So really, we do and offer pretty much all options when it comes to insurances for both personal individuals, and then we are also a business insurance office as well. So if you're a business owner, we offer commercial policies for things like commercial autos, small fleets, and general liability. So we're pretty.
Wow, you really do it all.
We really do. We really do have a wide range of offerings and things that we can do with so many of our professionals. I always like to tell folks there's literally a policy for every single household on our platform, or more than one policy for every single household on our platform. It's just about finding really and uncovering the need within the household.
Wow.
And what I love about your company is that you're willing to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we want to make sure we're looking at kind of every household, every business holistically. So from start to finish, you know, what are the pieces that we can help you mitigate risk? What are the pieces that we can help you save money? Right? You know, that's important to all of us, you know, in our daily lives. Where can we save, whether we're a family of four, you know, trying to save, you know, for the kids to go to college, or, you know, we might be a business wanting to try to expand. We can kind of help with some of the risk and those policies for each kind of individual situation.
So not to change the subject too much, but it's really kind of still on the subject. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about discounts that are available for homeowners insurance in relation
Absolutely.
to roofs or to windows.
Absolutely. Now, I'm actually really glad that you brought this up, because this was something that we did touch on last week. When
And
we were
I
on the
was
show.
amazed. I did not
This
realize.
This is really cool stuff. So there's so many different things, and this is specific to the homeowners policies, you know, here in the state of Florida. Anybody moving down here may not be used to some of the new kind of things that are part of buying a home policy in Florida. Or if you've been living here for a long time, you kind of understand that there's some different inspections and things that take place when we buy a property here that might be a little different than some of the other places. And you're exactly right. So one of the things that we do as part of the homeowners process here in Florida is we get certain types of inspections often. And one of those inspections does give us the most type of discounts. So that's called a wind mitigation inspection. So what that wind mitigation inspection is it's an inspection. They come out, they look at the protective devices that exist on a property in relation to protecting from hurricanes. So, and the biggest one that we look at as an agent for homeowners insurance is what we call the roof to wall connections. So what this is, very simply, is how is our roof attached to the walls of our house? And then based on these kind of connection points that exist, there's kind of 4 different strengths of these connection points, we give as a homeowner's agent, and the carriers give discounts for homeowners insurance. So the kind of 4-tier structure is it goes toenails, clips, single wraps, and double wraps. Toenails being the weakest, and then double wraps kind of being the strongest. So what was so cool, and this is one of the things we talked about last week, was the types of connections that exist up there are the biggest areas of discounts on our current homeowners policies here in Florida. So if you have what's called toenails that exist up in your attic, it's basically a strap with a couple nails on the side that secures that truss to the structure of the wall. And that's kind of the weakest connection point. So one of the things we can do as a homeowner, as a consumer, is what we call retrofitting. And so oftentimes for very minimal cost, we can upgrade from toenails to what we call clips. And there's a lot of different great companies out in the marketplace that do these kind of fixes. And each homeowner's kind of situation will be different based on the characteristics of their own home. But the really important thing to remember, and what we're driving at here, is taking that designation from a toenail designation to a clip designation can actually save the consumer around $1,000 a year on their Florida homeowners insurance.
That's amazing to me. That was such an eye opener when we talked about this before, because, you know, like a lot of people think that they're going to get their biggest discount for upgrading their windows, which really
Right.
isn't the case.
You're exactly right. There are some great discounts that are built in for having hurricane windows and things like that. Our rule of thumb as an agency is we always tell folks, if you can afford to make that upgrade change, that was something you wanted to do for aesthetics or something that was kind of already in the plans. Those are kind of when we say go ahead and do that. But when it comes to your homeowner's insurance, yes, those discounts are going to save you probably $200 to $500 on an annual basis. So important discounts, right? Definitely, but not going to give you the type of discount that upgrading or making sure you have a good roof to wall connection will really give you. You're exactly right.
So when you say that they can do a retrofit to the clips, can they also do retrofits to the straps and the double strapping that you're talking about? Or is that difficult?
They often can. You're exactly right. So the difficult part there is when we get into what we call a single or a double strapping. Usually those are done at the time of building the property originally. Okay. And so in order to get a single wrap, not always, if the strap exists, then sometimes you can take a clip to a single wrap, but most of the time, a single wrap and a double wrap designation will take place once the roof sheathing has been taken off. So that's really, if you're going to do a full roof replacement, that's a good time to look at if you have clips upgrading to single wraps or double wraps. Gotcha. Because what they'll have that roof plywood off, right, and they'll be able to then add those additional straps to the trusses. Okay. Another great piece that can be added at the time of re-roofing is what's called a secondary water resistive layer. And so this it's a layer that goes on over the plywood, between the plywood and whatever type of roofing material is chosen, whether it be shingle or a metal or a concrete tile. Right. This is another great way to get pretty sizable discounts on the homeowners as well. And also too, it's a great peace of mind for the consumer itself. Of course, it will increase the cost of that new roof, but I don't think it's a lot. And I do think that it really makes a huge difference. What it is, it's called an SWR, and it's a secondary water resistive layer that they kind of put, on top. And it does, they do give some pretty considerable discounts on that piece as well. But again, that would be done at the time of re-roofing. So that would probably protect you if you lost just a portion of your roof or just a few of the shingles, you wouldn't get the water damage probably. Is that correct? Exactly. Because that's one of the issues we have in a wind situation with our roofs here in Florida is, the water penetrates and is just simply blown through those shingles or blown through, those types of things. And that's what we see is when we get our leaks in the storms.
And water goes wherever it wants to.
That's for sure.
That's exactly right. It's going to find those nooks and crannies and follow it into our properties for sure.
Out of least resistance. Yes.
Right.
And I'm glad that you actually mentioned that piece too, because that leads me to another really, really important piece that I think all of our homeowners need to be considering, especially this time of year, and that is their flood coverage. So as we are entering now into our part of hurricane season, and we've now started to see rainy season really pick up here in South Florida, this is another coverage that I want folks to really understand how and why and kind of the inner workings of it, because there's a huge misconception in the current marketplace surrounding flood. And I actually had this conversation with a client this morning, in fact. So one of the big misconceptions is if we have a hurricane event, and I'll use Hurricane Harvey down in Houston is a great example of that. If we have a hurricane event that comes and parks on top of Florida for an extended period of time and puts a ton of rain, if we have rising water that comes into our homes due to this type of an event, the big misconception that we're finding with the current homeowner is that their homeowner's coverage will cover this rising water because it was created by a hurricane. Well, this is actually not the case. So any rising water event of any kind, whether it be hurricane, named storm or just, one of these crazy storms that we get here in South Florida this time of year, the only time that those types of events are covered is if the homeowner has a flood policy.
Wow.
So
Aren't you glad you just got a flood policy, Paula?
Absolutely.
We've
Yeah.
got to get
So
one.
Yeah.
That's the one thing we have not had. And I remember what was it, like 3-4 years ago when
Yeah.
we had the unnamed storm that just sat over Port St. Lucie. And
yes,
I remember wading into our
Yeah.
transmitter property
Wow.
just east of US 1. And it was like, oh man, this is terrible
It
stuff.
collects in
And
places that you
anybody
don't
can get
expect.
flood insurance, right? You don't have to be in a flood zone to be able to purchase flood insurance.
Absolutely. So the flood is a standardized issue from a whole bunch of different carriers, but it's essentially run through the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP. So any carrier we write it through is going to be a standardized number across the board. So if you're in a flood zone, what that can do is it can increase your premiums a little bit. So you wouldn't, in some cases, be able to get kind of the standard flood ratings for that. But what you would be able to get you would still be able to get covered, but at an increased premium. And the big misconception that I hear too is, well, I'm not in a flood zone, so I don't need flood insurance. We are in a high weather, high rain area in the state of Florida.
Right.
All of us need flood insurance. And the good news there too is you don't have to take the maximum amount for the policy. So the maximum that a standard flood policy will cover for in the state of Florida is $250,000 for our dwelling and $100,000 for our contents. That's our personal belongings and the things that we keep in our properties. But there's no requirement that you take that maximum amount. And so what we often will do with our clients is we'll work out an amount that fits better to their specific needs. Maybe they don't need quite as much coverage on their specific property. And that will give them the ability to still maintain a phenomenal flood policy, but at a little bit less premiums than if they decided they wanted to take that maximum amount. So there's, just as you said, Eileen, there's a flood policy for every budget too. So we want everybody to know that this would be something that everyone can afford.
Right. Well, yeah, we just, and then my husband was saying, well, I don't know if that's going to really make a difference. I said, it will if you get a foot of water in here and you've got all your furniture is destroyed, all your drywall has to be replaced, even some of your appliances and things like that. All those things are going to be affected by just a small amount of water, not 10 feet of water. I mean, everybody knows that you're going to have to replace it all then, but
Right.
a small amount is going to make a major impact on your household. So.
Absolutely. And we all know as these downpours happen, you can get 2 inches of rain very, very quickly here. And so,
Or 4 inches.
Yeah.
Or 4, or as
And our soil drains, but does it drain fast enough?
Right.
Many
that's
times
the
not.
question. Yeah.
In the
In
meantime,
that
you've already
instance-
got damage. Yeah.
that instance of Port St. Lucie that we were discussing, that was an 18-inch storm there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And how
So
many
again-
parked cars it didn't get destroyed then too?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was the other issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Now 100,000, is that a max that you can get for? Because I would think that's not all that much if you think of
For
all your
personal property.
furniture, your wallboard. I mean, appliances maybe.
Yeah, but that's just on flood damage, right?
That is, and actually, I'm really actually glad that you asked that, because we do have private options on the exact same platforms. National General has a phenomenal private option on their platforms as well. And let's say, for example, if you wanted to carry more coverage for those personal belongings, you absolutely have the ability to do that in the private marketplace.
Oh.
So likely the premiums will be a little bit more, but that's a phenomenal question. So for someone that says, well, geez, I have $200,000 worth of items in my property, and I really want flood coverage for that, we can absolutely do that for the consumer on a private basis. And the cool part about if the private marketplace for flood too is there is no standard 30-day waiting period. So and this is an important thing for the consumer to understand as well, all of the national flood programs or the NFIP policies do have a standard 30-day waiting period unless they're required to be in place due to a mortgage. So if we decided we wanted a flood policy for one of you guys today, if your mortgage didn't require it, it would take effect on August 12th.
So we could have a few storms between then and now, then and that time.
We could.
Now,
We absolutely could. So
Yeah.
the rule there is if we wanted to have it now, we do have a phenomenal option on our platforms that will allow us to go out and get you a private flood option today, bind it today, get you covered today. The only stipulation there is that, of course, we can't have any named storms out in the
Right.
Atlantic
right.
and no
Force majeure.
current. Exactly, because the carriers don't want folks coming in buying a policy just for a storm and then trying to let it go later.
Right.
Philip, such good information. I know that your schedule is super busy and we've taken up a lot of your time, but before we let you go, please give everybody your contact information.
Absolutely. So any of the listeners, please give us a call. Anything insurance related, we are here for questions. We're here for quotes, and we're just here to spend the time really finding your needs of what you're working on, both as an individual and a business person. Our main line is 772-252-5713. Our 800 number is 800-891-4234. Our email address, I'll give you my direct, is Phil, so it's just my name, PHIL, at palmcityinsured.com. And then we keep the website just as simple. It's www.palmcityinsured.com.
And that's insured with a D on the end, correct?
That's it. That is it.
All right, great. Phil, thank you so
Eileen,
much.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Absolutely been a pleasure. I look forward to joining you again soon. So many phenomenal, topics that we can discuss
Lots
and look forward to it. It's just been wonderful.
Right.
Thank you.
Have a great
It's been
day
great.
and I'll see you Wednesday morning.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
right.
Absolutely.
Have a good
Thank you.
day. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thanks, Phil. Wow.
Thank you.
Great information.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And the wonderful thing about his company is, whatever your insurance needs, they can help you. Homeowners insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, health insurance. And they are local and face-to-face company.
And I had never heard of a private flood insurance before. That's intriguing, and that can be bound in one day. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's time to do it. Don't wait.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the hard part, making yourself get it done. But yeah.
Well, all we had to do is see the flood damage in the Tampa Bay area to this last storm, and it's
Oh.
like, man, that's reality.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean, we've been there here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people think too often that, oh, it'll never happen to me.
Or the biggest thing is I'm not in a flood zone. Well, that doesn't necessarily make a difference, But I mean, we're close to one, so that's why I encouraged my husband to go ahead and do it again. 'Cause he
And
was
there
gonna give
is
it
so
up
much water every place.
everywhere. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and we joked about the one storm here that we had 7 acres of water right behind this building, and you think, okay, this definitely is not a flood area.
Right.
We have a creek next door. Well, it just so happens that creek is tied to something down by what the old Orange Blossom Mall. Human error, where one of the workers closed the locks. And
It backed up.
everything backed up
Yeah.
to all the way up here. And
Yeah.
you think human error,
Right.
and you think, wow.
And then you've got flood.
And then
Right.
then you're flooded.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were lucky because it came right up to the door, and thank goodness it didn't come in. But Yeah. And we found out later it was human error.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So, wow, we only have about 9 minutes left.
I know, but he has such good,
Oh,
important
yeah.
information that I just wanted to spend as much time as we could give him today.
Sure.
And,
oh, yeah.
and we will bring him back. Actually, what we would love to have is questions from you out there. You can email us questions
Good
and
idea.
then
Yeah.
Phil will answer them the next time he comes back, or I can put him directly in contact with you if you ask that request. So you can just send us an email to mydreamhometeam@yahoo.com and we'll get those questions to him and then he can give you answers to them.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Paula, why don't you go ahead with some of those other houses that we brought today?
Okay, well, this is actually a detached single family home in Palm City. Not quite as large as the one down in Lake Worth, but that's okay. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,031 square feet, and they're asking $310 for that. So not a big house, but sounds like a really nice house. So let us know if you need to take a look at that. There's a condo in Stewart that is a 2-2, 1,033 square feet. They're asking $214,900. So if you're interested in a condo situation, we're happy to show you that. Then we have a single family detached home. And unfortunately, this did not print all the information. So I'm going to have to pass that one up.
Oh,
For some reason, it did not come out. So we still have another single family detached home in Port St. Lucie. Oh, that was my
that's all right.
problem.
Go ahead.
She just pointed out my error. Sorry. 2-bedroom, 1 bath home, be a real nice starter home, 872 square feet, and they're asking $209,900.
Wow, that's a decent price.
Yeah, kind of small home, but if you don't need much room, if you want to downsize or you're just getting started, it's a good place to start. So that's a nice one. And one more, we have a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, single family home in Port St. Lucie. And that one they're asking $340,000 for. So sounds like a nice house. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked reading something. Excuse me. But anyway, if you guys are interested, let us know. We'd be happy to look for whatever you're looking for and see what we can find for you. Try to get you in your dream home.
And this is a great article that we're going to start talking about today and we'll continue talking about for the next couple of weeks because it's called 20 Markets Hitting the Affordability Sweet Spot. According to this article, which part of it is statistics from the National Association of Realtors, the national median home price now is $380,000. That's the national median. The median is $380,000. So these 20 markets have homes that have a median closer to 300, 310.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And there, if I remember correctly, let me just check one thing before I tell you this. Yeah. There are no Florida neighborhoods on this list.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Thanks. That's a shame.
Thank you.
Although remember, I showed you earlier that we do have 151 single family homes on our large MLS that are available for sale in the 250 price range. Those, of course, are way below what our median income, what our median sale price is. But these 20 communities, based on the criteria that was used by this survey, doesn't have any Florida communities on it. It has properties in New Hampshire, North Carolina, Maine, Tennessee, New York, Kansas, Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, Indiana again, California, wow.
That's surprising.
Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Colorado.
All right. All good places to go.
Right.
If you want to.
And any of the articles that we talk about on the show, we're happy to pass along to you if you want to request them. You can either do that by phone or text at 772-200-5105. Or again, you can email us at mydreamhometeam@yahoo.com. You can do your own personalized search on our website, which I like to tell people, use our website, take control of your search and make it your own. And you can do a search right on there for any neighborhood that you want to in the country. And that is www.mydreamhomeusa.com.
That sounds great. Cool. And you are looking to expand your team, I take it?
Yes, we are. Our team is growing, and we are looking for agents who are interested in specializing in particular neighborhoods or areas, and we will help you with your marketing program. So if anybody's interested in that, you can use that email that we gave you earlier, or again, the phone number 772-200-5105. We are happy to talk with you. And if you are a realtor who is getting ready to retire and you think that all your work over the last years is important and worth something, we absolutely agree. So contact us and we'll tell you about our retirement program as well.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yep.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Well, and you are at the Florida Club, but you are not in the gated area of the Florida Club.
Correct. The Florida Club golf course is a public course. Anybody can come and pay and play. There are 2 beautiful gated areas with the homes in there, but we are outside those gates. So our office is definitely open to the public. The address is 9014 Southwest Old Royal Drive. We are right next to the driving range in the Florida Club, off Canner Highway, just west of 95. So we are about halfway in between Indiantown and the ocean.
That's why Paula's got those golf clubs hanging out the back. All right.
Yeah, if I only knew how to use them.
What's your phone number again?
772-200-5105. And remember, commissions are always negotiable.
There you go. All right. My Dream Home Radio Show. And again, your web address?
www.mydreamhomeusa.com.
All right. Well, you have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.
Have
You
a great
too.
day.
You've been listening to My Dream Home Radio Show right here on WPSL, Port St. Lucie, Talk of the Treasure Coast, webcaster to the world, and WSTU Stewart, Martin County's Heritage Station.